Hi there. You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. This is the way.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome one and all. Today is September 3rd, 2024, and this is episode 182 of Pop Culture Warrior. It's the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I am CQ, I am your Pop Culture Warrior, and joining me now is our beloved co-host. He's the man in the bubble. He's the Marine with the mandible. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one, the only, Mr. Mad Mike.
Am I in? Am I in? Am I on the internet?
You're on the internets. You're live on the interwebs.
Switching up the intro. I like it.
How you doing, bud?
And you practice your warm-ups.
I
You
know,
didn't stumble.
right? This is the red, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, red leather.
Red leather.
How you doing, bud? It's been a minute.
Seashells pick seashells by the seashore.
I know, right? Quick hi to everybody, because there's lots of people in the chats already. Captain Wayne, Pete, who else is out there? Patrick, I see you, bud. Wayne, the Grand Admiral's out there. Heath, Anubis, what's up, buddy? You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining. Lots of people
Chats
joining.
is working.
The chats are working. See, look at this, ladies, look at this. Boop, it pops up. See, it pops up right on the screen. God bless. It's working. Things are working. Isn't that great when things are working? Oh, God bless. I love it. So, we're live here on WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments. This is Pop Culture Warrior, where we talk about all the pop culture news. So, what's going on, man? What's going on? What's new with you, buddy?
Not much.
Not much.
I'm here to do a show. People don't care about me.
We all care about you. We all care about you. That's not true. We care about you. We love you.
Homework for my kids to do. Let's wrap this shit up.
All right. Hey, thank you, everybody. It's been a great show. You guys have been awesome. This has been a great show.
Wait, you got to guess. You got to fill.
Oh, that's right.
56 minutes.
We got a pad for time. We do have a guest coming on later tonight. We have the incredible Kelly Schumann joining us. Wonderful actress. She played Justine in Superstore and Sally and Hot in Cleveland and a bunch of other appearances. Phenomenal actress. Very, very funny lady. Really looking forward to that conversation. It's going to be a real fun conversation.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show.
Kind of went under the radar, but...
Superstore, yeah, man. Superstore, I definitely feel like was one of those shows that, given certain considerations or given certain changes, it would have been a much bigger success than it was. It also, remember, it was one of those shows that was hit hard by the pandemic. The pandemic shut that show right as it was kind of hitting its high mark. And then they came back and they were filming during the pandemic and they kind of, incorporated that into the storyline. And it was just tough. It was tough for a lot of shows, a lot of people. But yeah.
Showed you life at a Walmart, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. No, Walmart is fancier. That was like life at like a CVS, I feel like. It was like anybody remember Eckerd's?
What is
remember Eckerd's?
Oh, Eckerd's.
Eckerd's? Oh, man. I used to I swear to God, before I joined the Army, I was a shift supervisor at an Eckerd's. It was crazy.
I see why they went out of business.
That's exactly why they went out of business. Yeah. Yes.
We lost our number one guy.
That's exactly.
Shift number 2.
Exactly. Oh,
man.
man.
Anymore.
Oh, man. I love it. Love it.
Did you go to the set of Superstore?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. Back when it was filming, I was doing a tour of, what was it? With the back lots of
Universal or somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was Universal. Yeah, I was doing a tour of the back lots of Universal, and there was a couple things filming at the time. It was like The Voice was filming, and then one of the shows was Superstore.
Ninja Warrior. I think it was Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior was there, I think, too. Yeah, and I got to walk on the set of Superstore, which is pretty cool. Very cool experience. It's weird.
Right in the scene, just walked right up.
just
hey guys.
Like, there's an episode you just see me walking in the background, walking across, just doing this.
Cut. They just ran with it.
My GoPro. I'm just filming.
This is perfect.
Like, this is just like any other store.
Looks like a real store.
Guys, your roof. You got a hole in your roof. There's no There's no roof. It's just
walls.
just warehouse ceiling. This is weird.
And there was no toilets in the bathroom, but I did my best.
The toilet's not connected to anything. I flush and no water is coming out. It's weird. Oh man. Hey Keith, how's it doing? How you doing, buddy? Man, Keith is awesome, bro. Keith came out to FTX. He was in the local tri-state area, and he's like, "Hey, can I come play some games with y'all?" And I said, "Man, bring it." And Keith actually popped over and played some games with us last Friday night, which was a hell of a good time. We had a lot of fun. So if you're ever in the DC, Maryland, Virginia, tri-state area on a Friday and you wanna play some games, wanna do some FTX, bring it. Challenge is always open. Doors always open. Hard pass.
I know a pedophile when I see one.
Hey, Steven, how you doing, bud? Everybody's coming out. Everybody's coming out of the woodworks tonight. So let's talk some pop culture news. I didn't get to talk about this last week, but I did want to mention it. Season 4 of Umbrella Academy came out. Have you kept up to date with Umbrella Academy at all?
Yeah, I'm on season 3 episode. I don't know. I'm almost done with season 3.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. And then my wife's like, Umbrella Academy's out on Netflix. And I was like, shit, we didn't even watch the last season.
Yeah.
It started out with them like singing and dancing, and I shut it off. And then I never went back.
Yes. So season 4.
Bad episode, but the rest of it was good.
Yeah, the rest of it was pretty good. It was season 3 was a good season. Season 4 of Umbrella Academy. I'm not going to spoil anything.
It's their last one, right?
It's the final. It is very much a final. No cliffhanger. There's very much of an end to a story. If I'm being honest,
all out already, the whole season.
Yeah.
Netflix they drop everything.
They drop everything all at once. So I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that wants to see season 4 of Umbrella Academy. I will just tell you this. I was disappointed. I was a little disappointed. I really enjoyed Umbrella Academy. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. And if I'm being honest, and you know me, I'm an optimist. I love everything. I want everything to be good, and I give everything benefit of doubt. I do feel like Umbrella Academy kind of got less good every season. Season 1 was
the one and called it.
Yeah, season 1 was one of my favorite things. It's pretty close to the source material. It's fun. It's out there. It's wild. And then season 2 was like, all right, okay, cool. And season 3 was it was tough, but it was watchable. Season 4, like, there's some really cool moments, and there's some really cool stuff, and there's a lot of like Easter eggs and things that reference, like the comics and reference other things, reference past seasons. Like, you can very much feel this is like the end of the show, right? They're like bringing out all the stops, but I didn't like the
turns into what's the DC one? God damn it, with the robot.
Doom Patrol.
Brendan Fraser. Yeah, it's kind of like turn Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
campy,
it kind of.
cheesiness.
There's a very similar vibe for it, and yeah, man, it was disappointing because, like I said, there's some really good moments, but a lot of it felt out of character for a lot of them. A lot of it felt like very 3 seasons, they kind of built up to this thing, and then it's almost like it took a complete left turn and went in a totally different direction. I hate
that shit.
I don't want to spoil anything. It's just, but the characters, you've known them a certain way, and they've had certain motivations, and all of a sudden, it's just like, I'm just gonna be this other way now, just cause just because I don't feel like it anymore. I just don't. We don't even address it. So I don't know. Stupid. Yeah, there's
get new writers. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. I don't know. I really wanted. I just really wanted it to end better. I wanted it to end better, and I understand how difficult it is to wrap up a show, right? Because it's difficult because you have to build to this thing, and there's expectation, and then you want to give a satisfying conclusion. Very few shows I feel like really hit the nail on the head when it comes to a conclusion.
The problem is though so it's easy to wrap up a show.
Mhm.
The problem is when you only planned on doing 1 or 2 seasons, or you didn't even, oh, we're gonna have 1 and that's it,
Yeah.
and you end it a certain way, not and then they're like, okay, back up that truckload of cash, and they're like, now let's make more seasons, and you never know when it's gonna end, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're gonna end it, and it's like you're in the middle of some shit, and now you got to wrap it all up. That's the problem,
It is
which is
true.
always what they do. It's like, man, we were building up to this huge spectacle. It's like if you ever been to Disney, you go the Muppets ride, and I got the American dude's like, I got a 3-hour finale, and they're like, you got 5 minutes. That's basically how them with the season.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
we
it's true.
got 5 seasons worth of material. You got 4 episodes. Wrap it
Yeah.
up.
No, it's true. And it's true. And let's, okay, realistically, remove ourselves from the viewership. Now let's put ourselves in the writer's hat, the producer's hat. When you take a show to Hollywood, you say, here is a lot of times you won't even have the full first season. You just have the premise of a show, right? We got this show. It's about these kids, and now they're grown. They were superheroes, but now they're all pissed off adults and whatever. And they go, okay, write a treatment. So you get they give you X amount of dollars and maybe some staff to write out the full season. Then you create the season. Then you pitch that back to the studio, and then they'll greenlight it if they like it. Or most cases, if they're not sure, they'll order a pilot. So you shoot just the pilot, like something like Modern Family, as massively successful as it was, started with just a pilot. They didn't think it was going to get picked up. They did just the pilot. The execs see it. They go, oh, okay, I get the vision now. I like it. Now you get greenlit and you shoot the whole first season. But again, all the thought goes into that first season. Even shows that end with a cliffhanger, 9 times out of 10, if you ask the writer, like, okay, how does it wrap up? They'll go, fucking, I have no idea. Like, they just make a cliffhanger, and then that's next year guy's problem. I'm not worried about that. So it's hard to build these progressively bigger in scope shows when you don't have a plan,
They're not planned out.
so
You need to fucking manage that shit. Project manage that shit. If you need help, let me know.
I know some PMs, some project managers.
That's what the Marvel's so successful. That's
Kevin
basically
Feige.
what they do. They
They got
fucking
the
plan
Feige.
all that shit out. Oh my god! God forbid we plan out a series of shows and movies. Like, who would have thought of that shit?
So
And you'd be
Pookie says,
successful.
sorry, Pookie says the best cinematic wrap up was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's the best wrap up for anything. I mean, but and that arguably so, but we're talking, across
Still
seasons, across
one-off.
Yeah, that's a one-off. It's easy to write
one-off
off
movies.
Yeah, it's
not a
easy to write
show.
an ending to something that's just one
That's
thing.
like if we just shut the feed off right now, like, hey,
Yeah.
you got this great news. Check out this new trip. Boom! And we shut
Yeah.
off the fucking show.
You'll never guess what's coming up. Pew, pew, and gone. And you're like, oh no.
Ice is like, oh, that show was canceled, bitches.
Radar's like, yeah, remember Tuesday nights? Yeah, Tuesdays got canceled. What, the show? Nope, just Tuesday in general. It's going Monday, Wednesday.
It goes Monday, Wednesday.
We got completely canceled the
Like,
day.
what?
But yeah,
But,
I mean,
and then you have the interference, like you got interference from the studio or the people, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it's like,
yeah,
you got to just shut all that out.
yeah.
And
Sopranos, a great example because and I can imagine it's hard. The longer a show is on the air, the harder it is going to be to wrap it up in a satisfying, fulfilling way. Dexter was a series that I really loved, and they fucking I literally, it's like on the top 10 list of every like worst series ending ever.
Yeah,
It's
but
always like
it's
1, 2, or
also
3.
like it was. They also that's another show where it's like you could tell they're trying way
They
too
just, yeah,
hard.
they just had
You're
nothing.
Yeah, it's like you're leading up to this big event, like all the like whatever, all these people are gonna find out about them, and then you end it like, and then the next season it's like, okay, we got to do another season of this shit. Pick up. It's like, wait a minute, he was just about like he was just getting tased in his ball sack, and he stabbed that cop in his neck or whatever. Like, what the fuck? And now we're back, and he's like at the department, and everything's good. It's like,
And you're exactly right. And here's the other thing. And it's kind of what the Marvel problem has been lately, is that the longer the universe is in place, the longer the stories are told, the more grandiose you have to be, right? You have to be bigger. You have to be bigger. You have to be bigger. The problems have to be bigger. The things have to be. So you start to run into a ceiling where you're like, I got nothing left. I think a perfect example of that is a show like Weeds. I loved Weeds. And it started as just like this soccer mom, and the husband dies, and she's got to peddle weed to soccer moms just to survive. By year 3, she's married to like the Mexican cartel drug lord, has an illegitimate child, and is smuggling drugs across the border. I'm like, gee, like, you have no room. Like, we've grown way too fast.
yeah, it
Way
was
too
the same
fast.
thing with the meth one with what's his name. This is the
Oh, yeah,
same
Breaking
shit.
Bad. Yeah, Breaking
It's
Bad. Yeah.
literally like the same premise.
Yep.
Just
It's like,
it was
let's
dudes selling meth.
sell some meth on the corner, and then 2 years later, I'm like the fucking meth king of Mexico. And it's like,
I was like, I thought he had
wow.
brain cancer. I thought he was dead in a year. That's the whole point of the show. And then he lived like another 15 years.
Exactly.
But it's because it's like it's a hit and they don't want to get rid of it. And it's like, look at Game of Thrones. Like they were going off the books, and the dude wasn't even cranking out the books. He's too busy pounding Twinkies and shit, like waiting for his heart to explode. And they're like, we need you to write a book, bitch. Like Tom Clancy and fucking James Patterson are cranking out a book every 2 weeks. You haven't written a book in 2 years.
What's his name? Stephen King. He just
That guy writes a book like every 10 minutes.
Stephen King. What's the other one? The one that like the Rainbow Six stuff, is it Tom Clancy?
Tom Clancy.
These guys just
James
pumping
Patterson.
out weekly.
It's like, what the
sellers.
fuck? You got a staff of writers. There's no way your old asses are writing a book every 10 minutes.
But
you can't even do a comic book in a week, and these guys have a novel.
Kevin Smith is still trying to finish his comic from the 90s.
I'm still waiting on that shit.
Oh God, was it the onomatopoeia guy? It's still waiting on that, the finale of that.
But
anyway.
So it's like, yeah, like I don't know. There's a number of factors, but
yeah, I don't know.
The problem being they don't plan it out good enough. I mean, and I don't blame them. It's, I think you don't know if it's going to be successful or not, and you want to do is, if I'm a writer and I've been some of these guys, that's their only thing, you know. Oh, I got this great fucking story. It's all and they're pushing it for years, and then someone picks it up, and they're like, I want to do a great season. I don't know if I'm gonna get another one, so I'm going to fucking end it. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna do another 3 seasons, and here's $50 million, and you're like, fuck. Okay.
Get some meth. We gotta write a season.
We got a lot of writing to do, guys.
We need ideas.
I got about 10 million of my 50 million for Coke. Let's do this.
The truth is, you know, as someone who wrote a script for Hollywood and shopped it around and got a lot of, hey, we love it, but you know, just it's not the right time for this thing, whatever. Like, I didn't have an idea for a season 2. We had the bones of season 1. We know where we were starting and kind of where we wanted to go. A lot of the in-between stuff wasn't even fully fleshed out. And then, God forbid, like I had an idea for a season 1 cliffhanger to kind of get us to season 2. But yeah, man, like I have no idea what season 2 would look like. So, and then a lot of shows too.
Shit they deal with.
Yeah, and a lot of shows too will use the feedback of season 1 to direct season 2, right? Where they have, we have an idea, but then you get the reception. You go, oh, everybody hates this character. We're gonna phase them out, and everybody loves this character. Okay, we're gonna bring them up. So yeah, It is what it is.
And you go off the source material too. So it's like, I mean, comic books, it's hit or miss. I mean, there was they did Preacher. There was a lot of those comics. Walking Dead. There's a shit ton of those comics.
Wayne says, "Is it a crime to have Law and Order for a kabillion seasons?" Yeah, that's
People fucking keep watching it, and there's 800 versions. I'm like,
procedurals, man.
sometimes I'm like, is this really a fucking thing, or am I watching like some fan made spoof? Like, I gotta remember what I'm watching. Like, I'm not watching, not on the Facebook reels.
Yep,
It's just real life.
Excuse me. No, procedurals, man. That's them. Anything that's like hospital drama, police drama, investigation drama, legal drama. It's you're banked for at least 100 episodes, if not more.
Fucking blows my mind.
It's
like, and you got NYPD, you got Chicago. There's 1,000 of them, and it's like,
yep.
No, this is true. And like my least favorite is CSI.
Yeah.
The guys that are fully strapped, like taking down criminals. It's like, you never, like, CSI not even qualified. They cannot carry a weapon.
Dude, what about the NCIS? You think the Navy guys are just running through the streets of LA like NCIS? Like, you have no
They're not cleared to carry firearms either. They are support, bitch. Get your ass back in that cubicle, motherfucker, and print out my ID since you're not
here
doing
to
nothing.
solve the crime. I'm a JAG officer. You're you're a JAG off. That's what you are. You're not
There's
solving
not a
anything.
base within 500 miles of here. We're in the middle of North Dakota. Get the fuck out of here.
Anyway, enough complaining about procedurals.
Poking holes.
Poking holes. Not the kind of holes we like. Earlier this year, news first started to circulate about a movie that was going to be based on the Sims video game series. I'm going to say this again, a live action movie based on the Sims video game series.
It's a bad dinner party is the whole premise of the game. It's real life. It's just you around your house. We have 1,000 of those. Big Brother, fucking Real World, all that shit.
At the time, Margot Robbie's company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, was attached to produce it, with Kate Herron directing and co-writing the screenplay alongside Bryony Redman. Herron previously directed the first season of Loki for Marvel Studios, and she's worked on several projects with Redman, including Doctor Who and a bunch of others. At the time of the announcement, there was no studio attached, but that has apparently changed. According to reporting, Amazon's MGM has won a bidding war, which again, who's having a bidding war on the Sims live action movie? But I guess based on the success of Barbie and whatnot.
Yeah, it's because they think, they liked a movie about a doll.
Yeah.
Let's go to this game that nobody's fucking played in 25 fucking years.
You'd be surprised at how popular The Sims still is. It's actually kind of crazy.
It, constantly buys it every year. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're one of 10 people that play this fucking game.
So I mean, you figure, okay, you got Margot Robbie
the expansion pack. You could swim in the pool now.
No way, bro! You can have your Sim murder other people with the new homicide pack, with the new CSI pack. You can solve crimes.
So does that make you upset because you had an original idea?
Oh, absolutely.
And they're like, let's make, you know what? Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Let's make a Sims video game.
Yes. So Amazon MGM has won a bidding war for the film. And you know, the video game gold rush is basically on, right? Because we've got all, you know, we had The Last of Us, and we had, you know, what's the other one?
Mario.
Well, Mario. I'm trying to think that the one that just came out that was really good. Fallout. You know, I'm thinking video games. You know, the Sonics, the all these, the Pokemon movies, all these things.
Hitman.
Yep. So this new report claims that Amazon MGM was competing with Netflix for the movie rights to that film. It claimed that Netflix actually offered more for the rights to The Sims, but Lucky Chap Entertainment wanted a theatrical release. So, you know, Netflix wanted to make it a Netflix original, put it in streaming. But obviously, you know, Margot Robbie wants to be a movie star, not a Netflix star. Considering that the box office and cultural success of things like Barbie, it makes perfect sense that the producers might place more value in a theatrical model. Video game movies and TV adaptations have gotten a lot of attention over the last few years, right? We talked about Super Mario Brothers, Sonic the movie, Last of Us, Fallout, all even Twisted Metal on Peacock was actually, I thought it was pretty good.
It's only successful because it was on Peacock.
Pretty much.
Keep going.
It's like the most successful
Sims
thing
on Netflix would have been it would be more successful than it's going to be in the theater. I'll tell you that right now. I'm calling it right now.
Yes. But I love the idea.
Predicts.
I love the idea of that the most successful thing on Peacock is like saying the top seller at the dollar bin at Walmart. Like it's
yeah.
It is what it is.
This movie's $5. What? I'll buy it.
Yep.
That's Peacock.
So obviously theaters and studios are scrambling to find like the next big game to adapt. The Fallout series was huge. There are signs.
Shows you how old these people are, where they're like, I've been waiting. My time's now. The Sims. And it's like, what?
I mean,
did The Sims come out? It was like 1996. It was on PC.
Stay with me now. Live action Pong. Okay, it's just two
great
sticks.
Wait, isn't that tennis? No, there's no players.
There's
what
no
do you mean
field.
There's no players? There's no one in it.
There's no field.
That's the beauty of it. We're just gonna have 2 lines,
and we're not using any CGI.
3D.
Practical effects only. I want dudes with a giant wooden pallet just running back and forth.
It's all right. We'll get Jack Black and Chris Pratt to do the voice.
Yeah, we'll get The Rock and the ball. The Rock is gonna play the wall, and the ball is played by Kevin Hart. And he's like, I'm coming in.
Shit,
boom.
Let's back up. It's good. You know what? Make The Sims. Margot Robbie needs to, bomb and know her place. Make trash fucking movies.
Yep. So on top of the Sims movie, Tomb Raider series was also given a full pickup at Prime Video earlier this month. So, I mean, we're not going to see the end of it. And if you think it ends with video games, it does not. Because Margot Robbie has also teamed up with Olivia Wilde, and they're planning to bring Rob Liefeld's Evangeline to Warner Brothers. Remember Evangeline? Remember that comic? Evangeline? Was it Evangeline or Evangeline?
Yeah.
Avenge.
I don't know how to say it.
Anyway,
I never.
You know what I'm talking about,
right? Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So Warner Brothers is reportedly close to closing a 7-figure deal for the film rights to Evangeline, a series created by Rob Liefeld and has been in and out of film and TV development for years. The project will reportedly come to WB by way of Margot Robbie's production company, with Robbie expected to star as the title character, and Olivia Wilde is expected to direct. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a place in comics.
And good for her. She's pushing her own brand and not taking shit from nobody else. But
sorry, Sid. Yeah, Halo. That's another one. Sorry, Scott said Halo.
Trash, recognized trash.
Scott says, so basically, is it about these people living in the simulation? They find out there's actually a God controlling their every whim, and there's no such thing as free will. You know what?
We had that. It's the Truman Show.
It's the Truman, the Matrix,
Bruce Almighty, or the Matrix.
The Matrix. It's very much of like, is this a simulation? Is this real? Don't
care. Not gonna see it.
It's kind of like the Lego Movie did.
Not gonna debate it. Don't give a damn. At least Lego Movie was entertaining and as a cartoon.
Fair enough.
I watched it on HBO for free. I didn't pay to see that.
But I think that's the idea of like, in their reality they're real, and then you zoom out and realize, it's them. And Borderlands. Oh God, how did they fuck up Borderlands? That's great point, Heath. My God,
I'll tell you how they put Kevin Hart in it.
They put Kevin Hart.
You want to make a shit movie? You add Kevin Hart or Jack Black.
Jack Black wasn't it. He was Claptrap.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So, this is a game about young people
retired
playing young things. And it's like, I love this idea. Like in the games, they're all like young adults or, early 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Like, let's get Jamie Lee Curtis, Kate Blanchett,
70,
Kevin Hart,
70,
Jack Black,
55,
and you're
65.
Like, all these people are ancient.
And they're gonna be spec ops or what? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh man.
He can't even join. He's shorter than Audie Murphy.
Star Fox the movie, Frogger the movie, Pitfall. I mean, I feel like with Pitfall you could do a ton. You could do a ton with Pitfall. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Stupid.
It is what it is. I mean,
They're not gonna learn. And dumbasses keep paying to see garbage. It's everyone's fault. You guys created that. You guys create this. When you go see a shitty movie because you have bad taste and you don't watch previews and you don't know anything about anything,
can we specify?
This is what happens.
Not our audience. Not our audience is smart.
No,
our
this
viewers
is
are
for
smart.
people watching out on the internet. So one day, like when you're like, God damn, how did we get here? And they could come back and they're gonna watch. Look at this shitty show, but this guy speaks the truth on here.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Our audience is pretty in tune.
Yes,
but
our audience listens to us and trusts us and knows.
Of the internets, they need to hear this.
So let me just, I do want to talk about Concord in a second. Let me finish this thing. So it's Concord. Yeah, the grapes. We want to talk about the grapes. No, so Evangeline, for those that don't know, she's a fallen angel. She fights demons and monsters, a member of the war host of heaven. It's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets John Wick. That's kind of the vibe for that. She's strong. She has weaponized blood. It's a whole thing. It's going to be obviously an action movie, something like, I don't know, like the Transformers movie. I would imagine it's like, well, in review anyway. Let's see. There was a direct quote from Liefeld saying, Evangeline resonated so powerfully with the audience because her story of redemption is one that is also relatable. Fallen angel was sentenced to redeem herself by serving humanity. Earth is a foreign environment to her. She must adapt in order to save herself as well as mankind. Her dilemma provides humor amidst the larger plot engine driving her journey. So kind of like, Thor, but with boobs.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's why people watch. That's why people read it, because you put big boobies on the fucking every one of those comic books.
Yes, I like that.
Nobody cares about the story.
Timothy Chalamet is Turok. Oh my God, who remembers Turok? My God, that was great. The dinosaur hunter.
Max Payne.
So
this is about potential.
Yeah. This is I love this part of the story. Way back in 2023, last year, Liefeld hoped to get a movie off the ground with Gina Carano as Evangeline. I'm sorry, no, it was back in 2013, I should say. She wanted to get it with Gina Carano as Evangeline. By 2016, the movie had headed to Paramount, but without Carano's involvement, the property seemingly never found another lead or a script before Paramount's option expired. So we'll see if that comes back. But Deadline also claims that the rights deal for Evangeline is expected to be even bigger than Warner's recent deal to make Josh Gad and Paul Walter Hauser's biopic of Chris Farley, which costed the studio about $2.5 million to acquire. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. There's a lot there to be said about Nick Cage's Earthworm Jim. Damn, you guys are pulling out all the classics. What about Battletoads? Let's just do Battletoads. Who remembers fucking Battletoads? That was awesome. But yeah, so there's a lot to be said about if that'll work or if that'll be successful anyway. I don't know. We'll see. When I'll tell you what. One thing I will say about all this, when I see Amazon's attached, I actually have higher than not hopes. Anything with the Sony label on it, I know immediately. Just write that off. Yeah. But when I see Amazon,
shit from China.
Amazon's been knocking it out of the park. Now, whether it's them themselves or the people they're partnering with, they're doing great. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
For now, they got somebody there that's the voice of reason.
Yes.
When I see Sony, it's like it might as well say made in China.
And
this is trash.
Speaking of Sony, let's touch on a topic that I think it was Scott was asking us to cover. So you probably haven't heard of this, but Concord was a PlayStation exclusive game made by Sony that came out recently. It's the newest game from PlayStation and its first-party developer, Firewalk Studios. After less than a month, it is being taken down for sale, and players are being refunded their money. It's one of the most like glaring examples of too much, and there was nothing there. I think they spent, I think it was like $8 million, or what was it? Oh man, somebody had thrown it in the chat that it was there. The chats are moving too fast. But it was a lot of money, and I think 8 years was it that they had. Oh my God, I'm looking. Jesus Christ, there's so many. You guys are really chatty today. I love it. Love it. It's awesome. 14 days. Yeah, 180 million ish dollars
Jesus
into
Christ.
develop this over 8 years, and it is being pulled to Keith says 200 million, about 200 million. So here's the story. It's already being taken offline less than a month after its release. The update on Concord and its very short lifespan was shared this week in a PlayStation blog post from the game's director, following numerous reports of low sales and abysmal player numbers from the Steam version. It's being taken offline as of September 6th, with Concord game director Ryan Ellis saying that Firewalk and PlayStation will explore options afterwards to see what actions may be taken in order to better reach players. In the meantime, sales of Concord are being suspended. Those who bought the game are getting a refund. They said, automatic refund. Epic PS5 users will also be getting refunded, but if you bought a physical version of the game, you're advised to take it up with the retailer. Good luck.
That's what you get for buying a physical version.
Right. So this is direct from the game director. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback. The game sucks. Of the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we had intended. Therefore, at this time, we've decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th and explore options, including those which will better reach our players. That game's not coming back. I'm sorry. You don't name a single game that has ever
they're not gonna refund you money if it's coming back.
Yeah.
They will make you wait. They'll be like, they'll fucking let you play the shit, or they'll like pause it and then like, here's a 1,000 gig update. Like, they're not gonna refund you if it's ever coming back.
This game,
they got a fucking buttload of money, and they took it and they gave some garbage, and now they're like, let's fucking wrap it up, baby.
Let's close up shop. I thought of a great joke that this game is done so poorly that they just announced the Sony live action make of the movie.
Right. Margot Robbie's coming out with Concord.
Concord the movie. This game has performed so badly for Sony that they immediately sold the rights to themselves to make the live action movie. Like, we just made $2.5 million selling the rights. Who bought it? Sony.
Like, what?
That's us. That's the other arm of us. It's literally like selling it from one hand to the other. Anyway, seems to be a trend. Exclusives. It's let's see. It's dead. Like, even making it free to play is a bad idea. The cost of keeping servers up would be a net negative. Yeah, I mean, look.
And they only have like 10 servers over there at Sony. You got to play other games.
Working at any given time, yes. The reality is, there's so many games now in that space, the first-person shooter space, and a lot of them are moving to that free-to-play model. It's getting harder and harder to justify why you would spend money to play a game that is practically identical to all the other games that are free to play.
Yeah.
I don't know
that have a lot more going for it. They have a lot more money in it. They've been
bigger player base.
They've been out for a lot longer.
Bigger player base, bigger, whatever. It just,
You're
we
not gonna
talk
leave your
about,
current job to go to a new job for the same amount of like,
but
oh,
you pay
y-
them to work
I
there.
do, yeah. Like you can do what you do now, but you got to pay me $5,000 up
Yeah.
front. I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I paying you $5,000? I can
There's a
just
door.
stay
There's a cover
here.
charge. Cover charge to enter the building.
Yeah.
Um,
And
no,
then I got all new people I got to deal with. I know every asshole here.
and you're the one person in the building. There's no other players.
Yeah. I already got the
Uh,
cheat codes.
uh, we talk about this all the time in movies and TV and video games. Like there are trends, there are waves, right? It seems like, a couple years there'll be like zombies are the big thing, and then a couple years it's vampires, and then a couple years it's drama, whatever, comedy, buddy cops. In gaming, we've seen it where it was, first person shooters, and then it was battle royales, and then it was like survival extractions, and so it's just kind of riding that wave. And right now,
Now you have it all in one.
I think, I
Get everything you
personally
want
think,
within like the 3 same games. You can do it all. Just what kind of skins you like. You like a little
exactly.
realistic? You like cartoons or in between?
And I think right now we are getting towards the end of the first person shooter battle royale style. Like I not to say things like Fortnite or what's the other one? Apex or Call of Duty. Not to say they're ever gonna go away, but I think month over month they are losing people and people are
Mhm.
moving on to other experiences. And I think like when something like GTA 6 finally does drop in like 15 years, when that drops, all those games are
Oh,
going to take a
easily. And I spent
massive hit.
$2,000 on the game.
And those, you're going to like things like battle royales, all that are going to have like 4 players left.
Yeah.
There's people that couldn't afford
And
to pay
that's
for it.
when I'm coming back, baby.
That's my time. Um,
Fire up. Get off the phone. I'm playing Call of Duty.
Mom, get off the phone. Yes, Scott's
My
right. The
time
new
is
hype
now.
is survival extraction. That's kind of the big thing. Like your DMZs, your PUBGs, all those are kind of the hot trend right now. Which is funny to me because like a year or two ago, what was it Rainbow Six tried to launch a brand new like survival extraction. What was it? The like the biohazard one. Remember that?
I
Like it
never
came out for
played
like
it.
5 minutes and nobody played it. It was like
Yeah.
it's crazy to me because it was so close to being of the hype and it was too early for survival
Mhm.
extraction. It came out 6-8 months later. I feel like there'd be more people playing it. But anyway, bring back Combat Flight Simulator. Hell yeah, man. Where's our Ace Combat, man? Ace Combat 7. Give us some Ace Combat 7, man. I'm ready. I'm fucking ready. I want to play that shit. So yeah, I mean, long story short, who would have thought a PlayStation exclusive shooter that you had to pay for was going to end up doing badly? What a shock.
Oh my god.
What an absolute
I
shock.
think we
I know.
say it every week. PlayStation
Stunning.
sucks.
Stunning. Let's see.
How's that working out for you with them exclusives? Not
uh,
so good.
Beetlejuice.
Don't say it again.
The long-awaited Beetlejuice sequel hits theaters this week, and from the sounds of things, it's apparently worth the 36-year wait from its original. Right now, there are early previews that have gone out. People have seen it at I think it was one of the film festivals it premiered at, and then there's been some like I know press people have seen a couple like the reviews or the early screenings of it.
So nobody reliable has seen it. Got it.
That's very
Oh
funny.
yeah, we love it. And it's like who pays all you?
I
Warner
tell ya.
Brothers? Okay,
tell
Warner
ya.
Brothers? Yeah, got it.
The Rotten Tomatoes score for Beetlejuice, it's currently, let's see, what was the Beetlejuice has a, at the time of this article was written, 78% of the reviews, how do I say? Okay, so real quick, this idea of like the Rotten Tomatoes thing, it's
They're doing a
always
percentage of
misconstrued.
like the reviewers that saw it.
Yeah.
So they're
okay.
rating the score off of people that review, like basically reviewers and industry insiders that have seen it.
Correct.
And they got 78%.
So many people think like, oh, it's certified fresh. It's 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. That means it's 90% of a good movie. And it's like, no, that means it takes all the reviews that were written and published by authorized users. So let's say there's 120 reviews. It's saying that whatever percentage were positive reviews, which if you say the movie was 3 stars out of 5, which is like, it's an okay movie, that's considered a positive review, right? Because if you, it's such a weird system.
Yeah, so it's if you go on Amazon and you fucking scroll down and you look at the AI summary of all the reviews,
yes,
that's the Rotten Tomatoes.
That's the Rotten Tomatoes thing. So it's a 78% of 40 critic reviews. So remember, the only people that have because Rotten Tomatoes,
so 40 people out of 40 people, 78% of them
said that it was
gave it a 3 or higher or whatever.
Correct. Like, on a scale of 10, they gave it a 5.5 or higher.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So and right now, the latest, Anubis, thank you, is 82% with 55 reviews. So again, take it with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean it's a great movie.
I thought it was like, that's good to know.
That's good.
I learned something.
That means more than not, critics like the movie. So
yeah,
you do have to be careful
because critics are garbage.
Exactly. And this is why there's such a vast difference when you look at critic scores and theater goer scores are usually so fucking dramatically different. 90% critics, rave, 28% theater goer score, right? Like it's the everyman, I don't know. I could spew on about that for fucking hours, but realistically, I follow a few creators that I think are very reliable sources. And funny enough, I know one of them he was talking about, he goes, I saw part 1 just to refresh myself of the original. And he goes, like, you have memory of Beetlejuice, but like when you actually watch it, right, and you're like, oh, this was the movie, and he's like, it wasn't as good as it was in my memory. Like it's an okay movie. It's very weird. It's very quirky. It's very Tim Burton. But this is what he said after watching that and then going to see part 2. He really liked it. He liked part 2. He said it was fun. It was witty. It was just, quirky and weird, but in a fun way. I actually was laughing out loud at the movie. He did say the thing that surprised him most was how little Beetlejuice is actually in the movie.
Which was the same in part 1.
Right. And he said,
he's not a major player.
For a movie named after the character, he goes, my best estimate, my best guess, because he's not like, I didn't time it, but it felt like he was in about 15 minutes of the movie. That's it.
I think about right. Same for the first one. It's like the end. And it's really fucking boring. Like Tim Burton does a lot of long shit. It's like, dude, you couldn't edit this out? Or how much shit did you edit out? Like, what are you just filming? Like snails fucking? I don't know. But yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm curious now. You're
Googling the part 1, how long he is
how long is he actually in the movie? I don't think anybody's actually ever written about this. How much is Beetlejuice in the Beetlejuice movie? Nobody's ever
a long lead up to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is how much. Apparently, these are the questions people ask. Is Beetlejuice okay for a 10-year-old?
Jesus Christ!
How much did it cost to
make? You not know the rating systems? Like PG is okay, PG-13 no, not below 13. Dumb fuck.
These are the questions that are asked. Is there more than one Beetlejuice? Oh man,
I have no faith in humanity.
Oh god, it's so funny. Is the new Beetlejuice movie using CGI? Like, no, they got real sandworms from the planet Mars.
And how many people had to Google it for that to show up as a topic? A lot. And
Oh,
I am forced to
God.
interact with these people on a daily basis.
Oh, man. They had to
Ah.
bring in real demons for Beetlejuice. It takes time, man. It
Yeah,
takes
they
time.
literally had to go down to the waiting room in hell. Like, what the fuck? Are you stupid or what?
Angry Elf says the
People are
original
allowed to
Beetlejuice.
vote.
In the original Beetlejuice, he's in the movie for 17 and a half minutes. In the original Beetlejuice,
He timed it. He's got the VHS.
he's got the
pausing
VHS.
it. He's starting his clock. He just did the math now for us.
I have a guy for that. Oh man, I have a guy. 17 minutes. That's crazy when you think
So he's
about
in it
that.
2 minutes less.
Hey,
in
that's
this one.
crazy when you think about
And he
that.
got
Like,
paid a fuck ton of more money.
name a movie like that.
That's like if you had Batman, but you
There's
did it
no
as
Batman.
like a citizen, as like the criminal or somebody. Like, you know, he just swoops in and like punches you or punches your buddy in the face, and then he leaves.
And you wouldn't even see
And then
him,
he
though.
comes back like 2 days later, and he like kicks another dude in the dick, and then he leaves.
You just
It's like,
just your POV too. So like he turns and the guy's just knocked unconscious on the ground. He's like,
you just hear like woof. Oh,
I would love. You know what? I would love. Like there's no real way to do
pending. Can't take my idea.
There's no real way to do it in any seriousness. But how funny would be like a Batman movie with like almost like the AI rules of Batman games and comics, where it's like the two guys standing there and you just hear poof, boom, ba ba, poof, and the guy
Did
just
you hear
like,
something? Did you?
what
hear
was that? And then he just looks at the body. Come on, wake up.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just heard that dude just get 18 bones broken.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it's like
Batman's
you
beating
didn't
me.
hear, but he didn't hear it because it wasn't in the radius. And the guy,
Wasn't
you
in
go
his
back on
code
your
of vision.
patrol, and the guy, you like trip over the guy, but because you weren't looking in that direction when it happened, it doesn't count.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, Patrick, that's banger on. What would be the breakdown of Michael Keaton's paycheck for 17 minutes of work? Oh man, that's great. Oh man, what I want?
Kudos for him.
Let's see, how
But
much did?
But it's not really 17 minutes. It's because they probably did a lot of shit that they edited out.
Well, of course, but I mean, we're talking like screen time,
Actual screen
value for what he was paid
versus everyone else.
Yeah,
way more than everyone else.
For paid for Beetlejuice.
It's only doing big money shit, you know.
We'll see. Let's see how much. Here's check how much you made for rumor bringing the Beatles. Michael. Michael G. He said apparently $10 million. Let's see. Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder was obviously the sequel directed by Tim Burton. This is a story. Beetlejuice rumored cast salary. Let's see. One of the most anticipated titles of the year is expected to gross much more than the first one. First one had a budget of $15 million. It ended up earning $74 million. It's really good. It hasn't been revealed how much the budget for the sequel is, but it's estimated to be as much as $200 million. Here's check out the main figures rumoredly earned for bringing Beetlejuice sequel to life. Michael Keaton, $10 million. Winona Ryder, $5 million. Why? Do you really need to pay Winona Ryder $5 million? What else is she doing? Look, all due respect.
It's because you got to pay him a reasonable wage.
I mean, Catherine O'Hara, $2 million. Monica Bellucci,
she should have got $5 million.
1.5.
Great.
William Dafoe got $1 million. Justin Theroux got 1.5. Jenna Ortega.
Why did you pay Justin Theroux that much money? That guy's nobody.
Jenna Ortega, which is arguably
Same
one of like
as
the
Justin
hottest.
Theroux, and she's the up and coming. And you gave Winona 5.
Much less. You know how much Jenna Ortega, which is like the hottest star in Hollywood right now, with everything she's doing, $750,000. $750,000.
That's like the minimum, isn't it? Like the minimum.
That's like that's like a SAG minimum for a main caster.
SAG minimum. That's sad. And you paid Justin Theroux 1.5.
Double that.
Who probably has less screen time than Jenna Ortega, who's way hotter, way better. She can act. That's fucked up, dude.
I mean, yeah, and she's probably in the movie a whole lot more too. She's supposed
I
to be
would
like
have.
one of the main
I would have
characters,
took
right?
like $3 million from Winona, gave it to her, gave another $1 million to Catherine O'Hara.
All right,
I would work that budget out.
so if we did the math, Michael Keaton got paid minutely $588,000
Jesus
per
Christ.
minute of screen time for Beetlejuice.
To do like he did in 1984, 3.
To do a very
Basically
shitty,
exactly the same
old
shit he did before for
rendition.
less money.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
Good for him.
And SAG minimum is $232 an hour. I mean, I don't know how many hours they work, but I would imagine
that was probably right there.
I mean, the hardest thing to do when you're making a sequel, and I would imagine it's harder after many, many years, but the hardest thing to do in a sequel is to somehow recapture the magic of the first one while not like doing the first one again, like creating a whole new original thing while retaining the magic.
Off something you didn't plan on doing again.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly. And it's
like Top Gun. Yeah, you can do that again. It's the same shit.
I feel like there's very few sequels that managed to walk that tightrope. I do think Top Gun Maverick was one of them. Like the Toy Story sequels have always, they were good. They built off of and explored new grounds while not like reiterating everything. But
nope. Like when Tarantino says, ended after 3.
Ended after 3. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of sequels that really kind of build on the premise while, like I said, capturing the magic and making it good. But we'll see. Again, early reviews are positive, and I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt that it's going to be a good movie. So we'll see. We'll see. Back to the Future. Yes, I had a feeling somebody was going to call me out. Back to the Future is a great example of sequels that build on the core mechanics and the core concepts and the core characters while still progressing the story forward, expanding the universe, and putting our beloved characters in new paradigms and new things to overcome. So yeah, you know what? Fuck you. Back to the Future. It's a great movie. Absolutely great movie. I don't care. You say what you want. It's the best trilogy of all time. I see our guest is hanging out in the guest room while we've just been chatting in here. So, guys, we're going to toss it to a short break. And when we come back, we have a phenomenal guest joining us. Mad Mike, appreciate you so much, buddy, for hanging out with us tonight and shooting the shit with us as we do. Any final words for the viewers at home?
No, don't walk in dark alleys at night.
helpful tips from the Marine, as always. All right, guys, when we come back, we got the incredible Kelly Schumann joining us. I can't wait. This is gonna be awesome. We'll be back with more right after this. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show is going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. The force is strong. They have the high ground.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We are back. Oh man, I'm so excited. You guys know I've been looking forward to this one. Welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. I am your host, as always, CQ. Our guest tonight is a talented actress who has made her mark both on screen and on stage. She's best known for her standout role as Justine on the hit show Superstore, or Sally on Hot in Cleveland. She has showcased her ability to blend sharp wit with heartfelt emotion, creating memorable and beloved characters. In addition to her television work, Kelly has appeared in a range of popular shows, including Bones and The Mentalist and many others, proving her versatility as a performer. Beyond her television roles, she's also garnered recognition for her work in theater, and her performances have earned her acclaim from critics and fans alike. Whether she's making us laugh or pulling at our heartstrings, she brings unique energy and authenticity to every role she plays with. And now she's here to bring some joy and some laughter to us all. Please, everyone, give a big welcome to the show, Miss Kelly Schumann, everybody. Yay!
Oh, that was such a nice intro.
There's
was awesome.
raucous applause. Oh my God, it's deafening. It's deafening.
It's
All
too
the people.
much.
It's
Too much.
Oh man, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh my God, of course. How could we not? Man, there's so much I want to talk about. We were just gossiping, behind the scenes as I'm one to do. But let's start off. I like to get to know a bit of the person behind the characters, a bit of the real person, the Kelly. I don't want to know about Justine just yet. I want to know about Kelly. So
Okay.
start us off. This is a pop culture show. We're mostly
Yeah.
military veterans. What is, if any, your military connection?
It's funny that you start with that question because I called my mom on the way home from work today and I said, I just want to make sure I got it right. So I actually have, at first I was like, I don't have that many family members. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, actually, I have a lot of family members. I have mostly Army.
Okay.
I have a very close dear cousin who was in Iraq, and the whole time he was there, we were sending him, goodie packages, all kinds of stuff. And then I have another cousin that was Air Force. So then my grandfather was in World War II Army. I have my mom's cousin was World War II Army. So we have a lot of Army folks. And then I have a really dear friend from high school who like immediately out of high school, he knew he wanted to go into the Air Force. He wanted to fly planes, and he did. And he retired after flying Air Force Two for a few years.
Wow.
I know. So he's pretty cool. Him and his wife are both Air Force, and they are just amazing, lovely humans, and pretty impressive humans, if I may say.
That's incredible. That's
Isn't that cool?
what a great connection. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
and again, I always tell people the reason we ask this, I mean, it's not a gotcha or anything like that. It's just this idea. I know a lot of military veterans, you know, myself included, sometimes post service or even during the service, you feel disconnected from the civilian
Hmm.
population in a way. And
Yeah.
so when we get to see people like you who are like, oh, I've seen this woman on TV, like I know her character, she's made me laugh. And oh, she has a cousin, she has a family member or a best friend or whoever that serves. It just kind of, for me, it feels like it kind of connects, you know, things that we love, like shows like Superstore and things, and saying like, oh, there's that connection there. That's awesome. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you for
can't even
sharing that.
imagine. Uh, I appreciate the service of all veterans, and everybody actively serving. I literally, I cannot imagine, but if this brings even just the tiniest bit of entertainment, that makes me happy.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
appreciate it so much. Again, being that we're a pop culture show, I gotta ask, like, what is it that you geek out about, right? What is it?
Oh my
Books,
God,
movies,
what don't I?
comedy? Like, what is it that you geek out about?
Yeah, it's TV. I love TV. I think I love TV the way some people are about like film and cinema, and they take it seriously, and
Right.
they want to talk about it for hours on end. I can do that with television. And I can do it with, what people consider to be like quote unquote good TV, and I can do it with not good TV. I
Sure.
can do it across the genre. I love television. It's my favorite medium. I love
I
it.
I love it. There is a place. I know people call it like trash TV and these things.
Hmm.
Where it's like there's a place for it, man. If it makes you
Absolutely.
feel a way and it gets you through the day or whatever, like there's a place for it. So uh,
Absolutely.
I'm all about it. My upset 90 Day Fiance. You ever watch 90 Day Fiance? Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Okay,
my God.
so I did not watch it until I went home to my parents' house to visit one time, and my 70-plus-year-old parents were like, "We got to watch 90 Day Fiance." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" So they're like super into it.
Yeah.
So I have seen some now.
My kind of people. We would get along. We would get along.
Yes.
Okay. What else? So I'm curious. Take us back a bit. Uh, Kelly before LA, right? Kelly before I
Yeah.
read some. You were Oak Parks, Illinois, right? Is that you're coming from?
Yeah. So I was born in Wisconsin, but I moved to Illinois when I was very young, and lived there most of my life. And honestly, I always wanted to be an actor, but I have to be honest, living in the middle of the country where at the time, things have definitely changed, but at the time there was just very little like professional
Mhm.
acting opportunities. There's a couple of like professional theaters that are equity, which is the union, and then there's a lot of professional non-equity theater in Chicago. And so I was surrounded by it, but actually being an actor who made their living as an actor seemed impossible. It felt like, I mean, I felt like I would have had as good a chance at that as being like a brain surgeon. Like
Right.
it just seemed impossible.
Right.
And so I spent a lot of time, like all of my 20s, just trying to find something else that would like work for me. And then, like right before my 30th birthday, a friend had moved out to LA, and he said, "I have a play I want you to do here in LA." And Los Angeles has amazing theater, but it is not known as a theater town.
Mhm.
And I thought that is so ridiculous. Why would I go? But I did it because it felt compelling. I felt compelled to do it. And then I moved immediately back to Chicago, and I said, "That's it. Thank you, Los Angeles. Goodbye. That's not the town for me." And then a year later, he said, "I have another play for you to do." And I thought, well, I'm not going to keep going back and forth. That's silly. So that's how I ended up in Los Angeles. And I remember my dad saying, so like, are you all in? You're going to try this? And I was like, yeah, I guess I'm all in. And even then it didn't seem possible. Even then it was like, that's ridiculous. And I thought, I'll give it 3 years. And if nothing happens in 3 years, I'm out of here. And nothing happened in 3 years. Not a thing.
Like maybe 3 more years. Maybe 3 more.
And every year I was like, okay, one more year. Okay, one more year. Yeah. I got to like 7 years and I was like, I guess I'm doing this. I guess I'm staying here. Okay. Yeah, every little tiny job that I got was like, I just felt starved for that feeling. And so it was just enough to keep me going.
Is it, I could imagine, I'm not a drug user. Kids, stay away from drugs. But I imagine it's like, getting that next fix, that next hit. And you're like, oh, it is. Grows the addiction of like, I want to do it more and more.
I'm chasing the dragon. Yes, I am after it big time. Yeah. Yes. And I can't, every time I think about, I was just talking about this with a friend over the weekend. Every time I think about quitting, I'm like, what am I going to do? I mean, no, because I'm completely addicted to the way it makes me, look, I wish I'd gotten the accountant calling, but I didn't. I got this one and it's the thing that I'm good at. It's the thing I love doing. It feels the most natural. So I'm stuck with it.
Yeah. We talk about this all the time too, about how crossing your passion, but also getting paid well enough to do it. It's a very difficult thing to do. And so, for the 1%ers, that you nail it. And for the rest of us, it's just like, man, we gotta keep it going and find a way. There was a great scene of yours. I was looking through some of your highlights and some of your things.
Oh, yes.
And I think it was Bones, where you were in like a boot camp setting.
I was, yeah.
Which was very, I felt that. I felt it when you were in there. I was like, oh my God. And you're doing this like low crawl under the barbed wire in thick mud.
That's right.
And as much as I appreciated it in the context of the show, my thought goes, that must have been a day of filming right there. There's got to be some stories from that day.
Well, let me tell you, it was real mud. There was no I went into it so naive, just a little baby child who thought, oh, this is not going to be that big of a deal. They're going to use something fake and I have to act like it's hard.
Yeah, CGI, right? It was going to be CGI
Yeah,
mud.
exactly. Yeah, Bones and the CGI they use. You guys, a lot of that is real. And this was real mud. And I crawled through that mud. I'm going to be conservative here and tell you that I did it 30 times, but I did it way more than that. Because what you don't realize is when they're shooting something like this, you shoot a wide shot, then a medium shot, then my coverage, then the girl next to me's coverage, then the man's coverage. And each time you're doing say 3 to 5 takes. So it was the longest day. Something funny that kept happening is that mud weighs a ton and the pants kept falling off of me. So I would crawl, and it's if you've ever crawled in that thick of mud, there's a vacuum effect that happens. Mm-hmm. And so my pants would stay behind and the rest of me would keep moving. But honestly, after 5 minutes in the mud, there was no vanity. I was I don't even care. Keep the pants. It was horrible. I lost shoes. I mean, there's still probably things in that mud pit somewhere. That was a rough day.
I can imagine. So I'm very curious about the technical aspects of this, right? So forgive me, but yes. When you're shooting something like this repeatedly, you can't get do you have to change clothes every time? You have to give you the same outfit?
So I think we did have, they definitely had multiples of everything we wore. And I think the actual getting into the mud, they shot a couple times and you'd change in between. But no, once we were in, they would just, you'd crawl a little bit and then they'd say reset and you'd just crawl yourself back and then you go forward again and then you go back. And so we just kind of stayed in the mud. But then I remember lunchtime happened and I'm caked in this like super heavy mud. And again, vanity is out the window. At that point, I'm like, take these pants off. I'm like throwing the pants off, standing there. I didn't even care.
Sure.
And I'm sorry to do TMI, but I was so caked in mud that I drove home. Like I had literally a t-shirt and a pair of pants and nothing else on, because all my underclothes were,
Sure.
I had in the mud, and I did not think this through. And so I had nothing. Luckily, the costume people gave me a pair of socks to wear home. Yeah.
I love it. Like, you have anything for me to change into? Yeah, here's some socks.
They were like, I said, can I keep this extra pair of socks that was in the trailer? They were like, okay. Yeah. So it was a lot.
Your car must have been ruined. I mean, mud everywhere.
Yeah, I was covered. Luckily, by the time we were done, there's a second half of it where I have to climb a wall.
Right. Yeah.
And I did have a stunt person just in case I couldn't actually climb it, because I was a little nervous.
Sure.
But I was so proud of myself. Let me tell you, by the end of that day, I don't know what you guys must feel like when you accomplish like a physical task. Like, you guys, that's part of the job, right? For me, that's rarely part of the job. But I get up to the top of that wall and I was like, I fucking did it. Like, I was so proud of myself. So by that point, a lot of the mud had dried. So I was more like dusty, dirty than muddy.
Right.
Yeah. And I drove home in like 5 p.m. traffic from like, this is for the people who are specifically in LA, from like Pacific Palisades back to like East Hollywood. It was like 2-hour drive. And I'm like, oh my God, just get me home.
I can't imagine someone's like sitting at you next to traffic. They just look over and you're just head to toe caked.
I looked insane, I'm sure. It's not the craziest I've looked. Like, I shot something last week where my teeth were blacked out, and that was how I was going home. So it's not the craziest I've ever looked, but it definitely was not normal.
We're gonna have to have a side conversation about the craziest things.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, just to finish that segment, that when you climb the wall, I mean, I've got a decent eye. I can tell, like, oh, extra, stunt guy, whatever. I got watch enough stuff. But I was like, oh, that's definitely her.
Yeah.
And then like this, you're right. You had this like guttural like, and I was like, man, like. Either she's a really good actress or she's just really pumped that she got up there.
I was pumped because I didn't think I could do it,
That's
and they
awesome.
have this stunt woman standing by who oddly has been my stunt woman. Also, she was my stunt woman on Superstore, strangely. So I guess she's now my stunt woman. I don't know. And she's a lovely person, and she was giving me pointers, like, just helping me with tactics. She would be like, it's not what it looks like. Put your foot here, put your hand here, and helping me get through it. And then, of course, falling off the back was to like a pile of mats that was there. And that was by far the best part of the day. Yeah, that was so fun. Yeah.
You get to play. You get to play for a living. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to tell you, from someone who's done it, that I can only imagine. I did it on a couple of days and it sucked and it's great and it's all these days terrible. But I'm like, but again, knowing the magic of this stuff, I knew you had to have been in that just all day.
All day.
So
yep, hours. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for recognizing my sacrifice for this job.
Yes. You made it look so real. I was having flashbacks while I'm watching you.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but it was real.
So, okay. What else? I mean, you've been in a bunch of stuff, right? In television and film and theater. I'm curious from your perspective, because this is something that always kind of rattles around my head, is in your experience, how do the experiences of doing TV, of doing film, how do they kind of differ? And then also kind of how do they complement each other for you?
Yeah. This is such a good question. And for, like most of my career before I got to Los Angeles was theater. Mm-hmm. So the great thing about theater is you can use your body, you have a full range of motion. I can move if I feel compelled to move. And it's a bigger sort of thing because you're on a stage, you've got people at the back of the auditorium you're trying to reach. When my very first day on Hot in Cleveland, this was not my first TV show, but it was my first time walking and talking at the same time. And
Which
turns
sounds
out
funny, but I get where
I'm
you're
not great at it. Yeah.
It
Honestly,
sounds like such a random thing. Walking and talking,
no,
it's hard.
it took some practice because they literally do put a piece of tiny tape on the floor and they're like, don't go past this mark. I cannot see that mark. And when I am acting, how can I be held responsible for
I'm
that?
in the
as well?
moment. I'm in the moment.
Yes, I'm feeling things. And they're like, I don't care what you're feeling, hit your mark. And literally the director was like, hit your mark and say your line. And I was like, I think I'm gonna get fired. Like, I was so scared. Every day I kept going and going like, okay, I just can't screw it up today. And that's the big difference, is that you've got, a much more limited field that you can work with. And you have to literally hit a mark. So you're not nearly as free. And then it depends on what you're shooting. In some instances, they want you to like try different things. In other instances, they need the same take over and over and over again. So those are just different skills that I've had to like hone over the years because, on stage, I mean, you pretty much know what you're doing. You've rehearsed it, and it might change a little bit from night to night, but like you don't want to pull any punches. You don't want to scare anybody.
Right.
Everyone needs to be safe.
No improv in theater.
Exactly. You're not just like saying whatever comes into your head. Right. But then on TV, sometimes they're cool with that, Right. So it kind of depends. And I would say reading the room is a big part of that. Like knowing, are we like running way over time and time is money and I'm wasting money by like screwing around and improvising? Or are we at a place where like, the line that's on the page is funny, but there might be something funnier. Yeah. So go ahead and improvise and let's see what you've got.
We got the one take. We got it good.
That's right.
Now we can play.
Now you can do what you want.
And I've heard, again, as a viewer, people talk about how with theater, it's about projecting, right? It's about you want to be loud, and then but because you got the boom mic right there, you can be very quiet and very still and very nuanced in the performances.
As you noticed when I first logged on, I'm still very loud. So he's being too polite to tell you that he had to turn me down. Which, by the way, I am used to that. I'm used to people being like, oh, she's loud. Okay. But yeah, it's because that's my training. That's where I come from. So I try not to worry too much about it because I think that could just like hinder a performance if I'm so busy worrying about the logistics of it. But you do have to worry about it. That's part of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Getting over a cold. So you've played Justine on Superstore, like we mentioned, Sally and Hot in Cleveland. I'm curious when you're getting the sides or however the audition process was, and you're trying to feel this out. Like, what are you looking at, right? What are the keys that you're taking that you're going, okay, I'm going to use this, and this is going to be my take on this character?
Yeah. So, that's also a great question, because I think what people maybe don't know is that, like in the case of Justine, that was a one-line role. So the side was a portion of a scene. I didn't even get to see the whole scene. I got one page, and it was like start here, end here, just a very small portion. And it was one line in an episode. The first episode I'm in on Superstore is called the Olympics episode, and it's technically episode 0 of season 2. And so it's before episode 1. Actually, it technically in the timeline takes place somewhere during season 1. But so I had very little to work with, and I kind of just went in and was like kind of myself. I think sometimes when you have so little like that, the best thing you can bring to the table is yourself, because literally there's nobody like me. There's nobody like you in the world. So that's the best I have to offer. And in that case, they went for it. So And then it did say on the original audition that it was possibly a recurring role. But even after the first day, I thought, I don't think I was able to do enough to show what I'm capable of. I didn't feel like I had enough opportunity. So I kind of wrote it off. I thought that might be it for that one. And I just got lucky. If anyone is considering this career, you really have to take into account how much of it is luck.
And
You know, I
rejection.
show up a lot of, and you know what? I was just telling somebody this today. It's not so much rejection because they never say no. They just never call you back. So
Gotcha.
it's like being ignored.
Ghosting. You're getting
It's
ghosted a lot.
ghosting. It's getting ghosted
Gotcha.
regularly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's got to be a word, like rejection without the actual rejection. There's got to,
Yeah.
other than ghosting.
It's like you just pour this like heart and soul into this like piece of art and you throw it out into the world and nothing happens.
Into the void, and there's not even an echo. Nothing comes back.
Not a thing.
And kudos to you for taking something that was, like you said, a line on a side, and then I think you ended up with like 72 episodes under your belt for Superstore. That's incredible. That's an incredible accomplishment. And honestly, when I really did, I was a fan of the show while I was one of the people watching while it was on TV. And I think the pandemic played such a role in just the turmoil, and like I feel like it's not fair because I really do feel like the show didn't get its fair shake. And I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that, and just kind of throwing everything, there was other things happening apparently other than TV at the time. I don't know, other things. But I do think it was such a creative force. It was, I like to say like this generation's like The Office or Friends, in that, it's this, I don't know, it's this ensemble cast where everybody had such a meaty chunk to play with. Like everybody, like it's such well-developed characters, right? You know who the crazy ones were, the wild ones, the straight man, the solid guy, and all these things. Your character, Justine, was something else. She's
entirely
such a wild card because you never knew what was going to come out of her mouth. You never knew if it was going to come off as this very normal sentence or just something where you have to like, wait, what? And I'm curious, early on, she seemed much more of that kind of, like just the wild card, right? That wild card that was going to say this weird thing and everybody's like, what? And then as the seasons progressed, she became more and more of a fully fledged character.
Yeah.
How much of that were you able to participate in? How much of that was just, the writing, loved what you did? I'm curious how that character evolved and what your role in that was.
I am so glad you asked, because I think this is one of the coolest stories. So the early on, there are episodes where I kind of just show up in the break room. And again, like you said, I just say something crazy and everyone kind of goes like, what? Okay, moving on. And in break room scenes particularly, they are so fun because all the actors are on set at the same time. And so there's a lot of improvising that happens. And usually when we had a break room scene, it took an entire day to shoot the scene just because there's so many angles and they have to turn the whole thing around, and so many people that need coverage. And so there was a lot of improvising. So much of Justine exists because of things that were improvised. Like, there's a part about Justine inviting people to her own intervention, and Lauren Ash was just like, Justine, stop it. No one thinks you're a drunk. And like, that's how Justine being a fake drunk started. Same with her, just like in general being like, oh my God, I'm so wild and crazy. And everyone's like, no, you're not. That's kind of where it started. So it all started in these like improvisational moments. And then, this is a great time to call out that like we had such phenomenal writers on this show. They like picked it up and ran with it. And I don't identify as a writer. I don't identify as an improviser. I identify as an actor. So when I'm given a line that is painfully hilarious, what I know how to do is deliver it. But those people who write those lines, they are geniuses. I always think about like reverse cowgirl, which is something that people like yell at me all the time if they recognize me or are
It's from the
commenting
show.
on something
It's from
online.
the show. Let's
It's
just make that
from the
clear.
show.
It's
Yeah.
from the show.
Yeah. Yes. And like, or like just any random line that I say,
Yeah.
people will just say it. They're like, oh my God, this is my favorite line. And I think those writers, they were just writing these little gems for me to say, I got so lucky.
And
So
no, please
yeah,
finish. I'm not trying to
50-50.
interrupt you.
No, I mean, it's just like 50-50, right? Like the actors are doing their part, the writers are doing their part. Let's call the writers more like 85%. But like, you know, and then I just show up, I get this like brilliant random line to just say in the middle of a scene. And I think it's going to be good. It's going to go down as one of the best jobs I'll ever have. Because it was so great, so funny.
And I agree wholeheartedly. Writers they should get more credit than what they get, but I also think you could have the best line in the world, and if you don't have the actor that can say it and can bring life into the words, right? Because if I say it like, oh, I like reverse cowgirl because I don't have to look them in the eyes, it's like, it's weird, but when you said it and it's just like, whoa, it's so wild.
It's so wild.
And there were some scenes like I can remember, like you were trying to park a car, and you're just having the damnedest of a time. At one point, you're eating a cupcake and telling people to go around. Like when you get to film stuff like that, and I'm curious, especially working with a car and things like that, is like that's all you, right? This is not a stunt car. There's no remote control. No. How difficult was something like that?
Oh, I'm proud to say that I'm good at like 3 things. I'm good at acting, I'm good at typing, and I'm good at parallel parking. And they parked the 2 cars purposely like very close together so that I would have a hard time. I dropped that baby in the first time, like no problem. They kept moving the cars closer and closer. So finally it got to a point where I could no longer, like literally the car does not fit. I honestly, that was one of the hardest scenes for me to shoot. I'm a very good driver. So I'm trying to also, it's, you know, hard to get out of the mindset of like, you can do whatever you want with this car. You can hit the car behind you. You can hit the curb. You can go up on the curb. You can do whatever you want. And I'm like going, just tapping off the brake just a little bit, like easing off the brake. And meanwhile, they're like, gun it. Like you can do whatever you want. So honestly, it was a little bit hard, but I knew even when we were shooting it that it was going to be so funny. Victor Nelly, who is one of our most consistent directors on Superstore, he directed that episode, and he just was like, he was letting me kind of just go crazy and do whatever I wanted, and then he would just yell from the camera, "Do it again and say this. Do it again and say this." And it was a night shoot, so. You know, it was like middle of the night. It was just, that one was a blast. I knew when we were shooting it that it was going to be so funny, and it turned out great.
Again, I'm upset. I'm upset for you because I'm like, man, I feel like the show should have lasted longer and it should have should have been more to it. More people should have watched. Whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the business, right? When you're getting more and more involved. I assume, and this is just me from an outside perspective, I watch certain shows and I go, they look like they're having fun. You know, there's certain shows you watch where you're like, even if the loving couple in the show and you're like, those people, you could tell they don't like each other. They just don't like you. But you guys really look like you were having so much fun on that show.
Oh, it was so funny. I mean, like Lauren Ash and Mark McGinney. Mark McGinney is a comedic legend. And there were times where like maybe it would be like a long night or, you know, we weren't getting a scene that we needed. And he would just like start riffing. And I mean, I was constantly laughing. And like for the first time in my life, like my Sunday scaries went away because I was so psyched to get to work. Like truly, as I said, this is going to go down as one of the best jobs I've ever had. I laughed constantly. It was always funny. Even the crew, they were really funny. And so like, I just enjoyed everybody on set. And I think everyone felt that way. Like, I feel confident to say that like we all felt that way. And when I get to see the rest of the cast or even crew members, I've done other shows and there'll be a crew member from Superstore and it's like so exciting to see them. Yeah, it was, I think too, I will say that like, yeah, the pandemic screwed up a lot of things, but I feel really lucky that I was on this show during the pandemic. We'd been together at that point for 5 years. So everybody was seeing it as caring for each other, like how we behaved on and off set. And so I just felt really lucky. We never shut down for a COVID outbreak. We never had a COVID outbreak. I'm not even sure we ever had an actual positive test. And I really believe that's because we all cared about each other and we're like, well, you know, however I might feel about this, if somebody else has some sort of thing and they don't want to catch COVID, I got to do this for them. So I feel really lucky. It was a very close cast, I would say.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can only imagine having that much time together and that much time in that show. Are there any stories that you can share? Because I'm sure there's a lot you can't. But are there any stories you can share? Pranks gone right, gone wrong? I mean, what's fond memories? When you think back, what are the fond memories of your time on that show?
I think a lot about. I feel like every episode, Nico who played Mateo, would lead everyone in like a sing along. He's always singing, and so he will just be singing, and then he'll always hit on a song that everybody loves, and all of a sudden you've got an entire cast and crew of maybe 50, 100 people, and everybody is singing. Certainly the cast, but sometimes he could get the crew involved also, and that to me, I just was like, this is the funniest. They had we would always get like food trucks, like maybe once a week, a food truck that we could have, and I felt so like cared for, like I knew we were spoiled, but I also knew that somebody was doing it because we were like a really fun, cool cast. And when I say cast, I mean crew as well. Like everybody on that set was great. I'm trying to think of somebody that like kind of would grind my gears, and there really wasn't anybody. Like,
start naming names. Come on.
I'm trying.
I'll never work with them again.
And our base camp was always decorated for the seasons. Our base camp PA would always decorate all the trailers. So there'd be like, lights up in December. We were on Universal, so you could always hear people screaming at the Hollywood Horror Nights. Like it sounded like somebody was getting murdered in the distance. So
I mean, it is LA,
it's also Los Angeles, so that could have been happening too. But yeah, it just was I think of it so fondly.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, Ben Feldman, as a wrap gift to like the regular cast members, he got us these really cute handmade felt pictures that they were like made out of like layers of felt of our characters. And at the bottom, it has a mark, and everybody on set has a different color mark, so that like my mark was light pink, so nobody would else go to that mark. They know that's my mark. And so they all had our colored marks on them. And it's one of the things that I have hanging on the wall because I just think it's so unique and cool and sentimental. I love it.
Very thoughtful. Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And we discussed too on the side that, you're right there on the lot, and I know they would do the Universal tours, and you guys would see the trucks through.
Yeah.
So that's got to be like in that moment, be honest. Like there's got to be that little bit. Like, yeah, I'm kind of a big deal, I'm on a show, and
I geek out every time because I'm a fan first. Like I said, I love television. So and I was a fan of Superstore before I was on it. When I got the audition, I was like, oh man, this would be cool. But it doesn't always work out like that. So I just kind of, didn't think. And so I'm walking down, the street on the back lot, and a tour goes by, and somebody says, oh, that's Justine. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, no, I can't believe it. Even when I get recognized like in public, I just am like, this is so weird.
They
Yeah,
go, oh, it's a celebrity. You're like, what? Where?
I do. I go like, oh my gosh, cool. Let's
Who?
see. Yeah. So I think like people I'm with can get like, this is really fucking cool. I am more like, what? I oh yes, oh my god, thank you. It's so exciting.
I mean, it must be nice. I don't get. Actually, I've been recognized, I think, once in my life,
I
but
was gonna say,
you know,
I find that hard to believe. This is a fairly
No,
popular show.
it is what it is. So and as much as we love Justine, and I could honestly talk about the character and Superstores, but you've done a lot of other things too, and between the movies, between the TV shows, the theater, I mean, you have to portray a lot of different characters. Some emotional, some silly, some serious, all these different ranges.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the genres, right? Because you comedy and drama and all these things. Like, how do you like? What's your approach? I'm always curious as an actor. Like, okay, I'm gonna get this character. I know some things are very specific, right? They'll be like, hey, this is a very serious character, and we're gonna do this and this and this. But sometimes it's up to your interpretation. So, how do you approach these different characters?
Yeah. So maybe setting aside somebody like Justine, who she kind of grew and evolved as time went on. And I also have to say, people are always like, you can't possibly be anything like like Justine. And I'm like, you guys, we're all like Justine. It's just we all hide it really well. Justine does not hide it. She's like an awkward dork.
No filter.
No filter. She
Yeah.
just like is out there being her awkward dorky self. And by the way, I admire that. Like, good for her. Setting her aside, I think I think I approach them the same, and I start with whatever information is in the script. So the script reveals a lot of information about who the character is. So I start there. I think of like, I only fill in blanks that need to be filled in. Otherwise, I depend on what the writer has written because the seed was their seed. And again, I don't identify as a writer. I don't identify as a director. I'm an actor. So when you give me a script, I'm going to use that script to inform choices that I make. That's how I approach it. And then comedy, I think for me, because I'll say that my training in specifically comedy is limited. I think that I have a very both my father and my brother are disabled, and I just think when you go through like lifelong hardships, they're pretty severely disabled. I think what I learned is a very rock solid sense of humor. So for me, I don't think I approach anything in my life without a sense of humor. I think that's where my comedy comes from. Yeah, and also my family is completely hilarious. They are so funny. I'm just like trying to keep up with them when I'm around them.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you shared that. I really am, because there's as someone, I was shot multiple times, and as someone who in the military and deployed and all these things, you learn this thing of like, you're either gonna laugh about it or you're gonna cry about it, right? You've got to develop this thick skin, and the military is known for its dark humor and the gallows humor and all these things.
Yes.
And like, on the side, I'll tell you some stories, but it's just, I think people that have been through really traumatic things, like you said, and really tough things, appreciate just how silly sometimes it can all be, right? The seriousness of it, of the moment, and like, wow, life, you live, laugh, love, all the cliches,
Sure.
all the things.
I mean, I think too, like, it's not to belittle the seriousness of the situation, but like, honestly, the seriousness of any situation does not have to be driven home. This is very clearly serious. So, and my mom literally says all the time, if you don't laugh about it, you're going to cry about it. And we do plenty of crying about it as well. You know, nobody's trying to pretend, we're not trying to like toxic positivity this to death, but we are just trying to get through it the best way we know how. This past time when my dad had like an accident and he was in a bed and I was trying to help him change and I pushed him over and I threw the pillow over like near where his face was. And he's like, I knew it. My time has come and it's at my daughter's hands. Like, but yes, that is the dark humor that comes with what are you going to do? You know, like this is very serious. We all get that. Now let's have a laugh about it and get through it.
I love that. No, I love it. I love because the attitude in which you handle things and approach things can change the situation. It really can. And anyway, we don't have to beat that to death. But I love that you shared that. Thank you for sharing that. You touched on it a little bit about like people will just yell out lines to you and things. So I'm curious, like, do you remember the first time where somebody was like, "Oh, Justine," and like, what was that moment like?
Oh my gosh, the first time I was at a restaurant with a friend. We were sharing a meal because we were both broke. So we had gone to, I can tell you the restaurant, I can tell you what we ordered, everything. And so when the check came, we split it, you know, a couple of broke girls just like doing our best. And we both had debit cards. The credit card receipts come back and I open it up to sign it. And there's a little piece of receipt and it says, "I adore you" on Superstore with a little heart. And I was like, who? I start looking around. Who did this? Where did this come from? And when it happened, my friend was in the bathroom. She comes back from the bathroom and I show it to her. And she's like, "Oh my God." And the two of us are sitting at the table like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. This is crazy.
It's happening."
Yes. We were like freaking out. So that was the first time. And I still have it. It's in a little like trinket lockbox in my bedroom.
Good.
Yep. And the funniest one, just so that you know, this is what it's like. This is how glamorous it is. I was sitting in a Portillo's eating hot dogs with my parents, and a woman came up with her cell phone and she puts it in my face and she goes, "Is this you?" And I look at it and yes, it is a picture that she has pulled up of me. And I was like, yes. It was so aggressive. I thought she was yelling at me. So I was like, yes.
I'm so sorry.
And she goes, "I knew it. I told my friends it was you. I knew it." And she walked away. And I was like, I feel like she's mad at me. Like, I don't know what happened. And my parents were like glowing. They were like, "Oh my gosh, our little girl just got recognized." And I was like, did you see her yell at me?
You don't know if you're going to get murdered in the parking lot. Like, I just want to make sure this is my target. This you? This is the one?
I wasn't 100% sure. And I'm very sensitive. So like my feelings were hurt. I was like, I don't know what I did. Why is she mad at me? So
the only way that's better is if she's like, "Is this you?" And then she shows a picture of like Sandra and she's like, "Is this you?" Like,
no, that's
right show,
that's not
wrong
me.
Character.
I do get Rebel Wilson a lot. And I'm like, no,
wow.
We're just two white blonde girls. That's it.
Yeah. Like, Reba, right?
Reba.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Oh,
She had the same looks.
Flattered if somebody thought I was Reba.
So there is a question from the chats, and I've ignored a few of them, but it's fine. We'll get to them. The first time, do you recall, have you ever had a moment of being starstruck? Like either special guest or just out in there? What was your first big starstruck moment?
I am constantly starstruck. Well, first of all, I'm very intimidated by celebrities. So I almost never say anything. However, this is a deep cut, but Francesca Ramsey, years ago, she did this web series on MTV called Decoded. And, you know, she kind of invented internet or social media activism. And I was a big fan of hers. And she was on the last season of Superstore. And I had to like hold on to it like for, I don't know, like 3 episodes. We would, this was during COVID. So we rode a bus up to where they tested us all for COVID every day. And we would be on the bus together. And I was just like, oh my God, am I going to say something? Do I just be cool? How do I say something? And finally I told her, and I just was honest that I was geeking out the whole time. And she was like, wow, I never would have known. And I was like, yes, So
Actor.
yeah, I try to keep it under wraps. And I tend to freak out about like super nerdy stuff. Like if it's somebody that I saw on an episode of like Law and Order SVU, I will lose my shit. I'll be so excited.
You were a dead prostitute. You were
That's
the
right.
prostitute. Just yelling at them.
Yep.
Just go up to them with the phone. This is you, right?
This is you.
This is you.
I know. I should.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What for you? Because we're running short on time too, man. This has been such a good conversation.
Good.
How do you, when you look at the legacy of Superstore, right? Like where it started, where it ended, the fact that I feel like it's gotten bigger over time, the streaming and things. Like, how do you reflect on that time and the legacy of it?
I mean, I have so many good feelings, and I agree. Like when COVID happened, I think a lot of people binged that show, and I think the reason they did, I could be wrong, but I think the reason they did is because it is funny, but it has so much heart, and I think it's a show where you let your freak flag fly, and I love that. I love the idea of these like misfits. Finding a family. I think the way, I don't want to give anything away if someone hasn't watched it, but like the way that the series ends is lovely. And so I hope that the legacy is that it was a really solid comedy with a ton of heart. I hope you can go there and see yourself. I hope you go there and you feel welcome. Because that's how I think of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it, I mean, it has a ton of replayability. It's, it's not one of these shows where you're like, oh man, it's so outdated. It really stays relevant, I feel like, in the comedy and the stories it's trying to tell.
Yeah.
And it's funny enough, this episode, our first hour, we were talking about different series that kind of stuck the landing and some that left us wanting more. We didn't touch on it, but I do feel like Superstore is in the category of, stuck the landing, if not, really wrapped it up really, really well. And they did such a good job with that. So I'm glad to hear.
Thank you.
Is there, I know a lot of actors will do the convention circuit. Do you do appearances? Do you ever take the time, meet the fans, sign autographs, all that stuff?
I would love to, but I don't think anyone wants me. So, but I would love to. But yeah, no, nothing currently.
Okay, well,
No.
we're gonna. I'll put some feelers out because
Make it happen.
If people are screaming out about reverse cowgirl to you, you're gonna be a huge hit on the convention circuit. You're gonna be a huge hit on the convention circuit.
I know.
Where can people follow, support, social media, all that stuff?
So I mostly use Instagram. I do have a Facebook like fan page. But I don't really use it all that much. Sorry, Facebook. But yeah, Instagram is where you can find me, and I also have a TikTok that sometimes I'll share things, but I'm not good about it. So yeah, probably Instagram is the best place to find me.
Okay.
And like once every 3 years, I'll post something on like Twitter threads or whatever.
I stalked you. There's a good solid year.
Oh yeah, you found it.
It's a good year between tweets. It's okay. It's okay.
That's right.
Social media is hard.
I only think of something funny to say on my own.
Right.
Very rarely. And that's when I tweet it.
You need the writers. Yep. You need the writers on staff to
I desperately need writers.
Every time you said that, like I identify as an actor, I kept going back to the I'm Ron Burgundy, like reading the teleprompter.
Yes. That is exactly it. Tell me what to say and you are going to be blown away. I promise.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything, if the people out there want to support you, they want to, is there anything, like, this is one of my favorite questions. I didn't even get to it. We got to squeeze it in. What's something that you did that you are super proud of that like you wish, for whatever reason, you wish more people saw, and maybe it didn't get its fair shake or anything that people can go back right now and find?
I do think Hot in Cleveland is a great sitcom. If you like a very traditional, live audience sitcom, it's great. And it's got Betty White in like one of her, I mean, look, it's no Golden Girls, but it's got Betty White in a very funny performance where she gets to be even more sort of blue and funny than she was on Golden Girls. So I think that show did not get maybe as much attention. It was on TV Land, and so I think if you're not familiar with the lineup on TV Land, yeah. But that's probably the one that I would say go back and watch it. It's a good sitcom.
There you go. We're gonna send the
Yeah.
army. We're gonna send the army out there to watch Hot and
Yes.
get it up in the streaming numbers. And then finally, is there anything upcoming? Anything that you can talk about? Anything that you want people to keep an eye out for, or see you at something?
You know, I'm sure you know that between the pandemic and the strikes, there's been very little work. So if you want to support actors, the best thing that you can do is go back and watch things that already are out there, because there's very little. It seems like it's starting to pick up a little bit now. Yeah. And I do have one thing in the can that I can't talk about, but yeah, go watch things on that have aired that you can go watch somewhere. Because it's been a tough couple of years.
Absolutely. Now, it's been a real gag, running a pop culture talk show during a pandemic where nothing came out and strikes. And obviously, we have all the love and support. We are the biggest supporters of our actors and writers and creators. And so obviously, like when you guys went on strike, we're like, hey, we're right there with you. We were talking about like Legos and calendars and toys.
I know. I love that. That's wonderful. We appreciate it so much. We felt the support.
Absolutely. No, it's only right that you guys are given the dues for the hard work that you do, and also are not taken advantage of. I love AI. I'm a big fan of technology. I'm a huge nerd, but at the same time, you can't take away people's likes and voices and all these, like, it's not right, and you should never. You take the heart out of a performance when you use robots to make it. But anyway, I digress.
Yes.
Kelly, you are phenomenal. I love you. This is amazing. Thank you for doing this. You are a friend of the show forever. Anytime you want to come back, shoot the shit, promote anything, talk to us, or just hang out, we'd love to have you. You can be my co-host for a night, whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anything. Absolutely. The red carpet for you. Like I said, we'll promote. I'll keep an eye out on your Instagram, and whenever you do announce anything, we'll make sure we.
I lost your sound.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. I got you back. There we go.
I'm messing around with my mic. But we just want to make sure we support you, and whenever you have anything coming out, you're a friend of the show, and we want to make sure that people go out there and support. So with the last few seconds, I want to give you the floor. The floor is yours to say goodnight to the audience. Anything that's on your mind, anything you want to say, this is your moment.
Oh, good night. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your support. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm incredibly grateful and lucky. Thank you.
Look at that. And see, you didn't even need writers. You came up with that all on your own.
Oh my God. It was so good. So eloquent.
So good. So good. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye to our guest. We're going to toss into a commercial. Once again, this has been the phenomenal Kelly Schumann, everybody. Go show her love and stream the things. We'll be right back with more show right after this. All right.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, right? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, we're back. We're back. Ah, my goodness. I'm just so, man, Kelly's awesome. Kelly's awesome. Man, I wish her all the absolute best and success and continued success and a million other everything. She deserves it. And damn, she was awesome for coming on and taking the time to be here and do that. So, Kelly, thank you. You're awesome. We hope you continue to do awesome things. Mad Mike is no longer with us. No, I'm kidding. He had to run his his daughter has a project due tomorrow. And he's like, she hasn't even started it yet. So he's calling it a night. And then we'll wrap it up here as well. Just wanted to say thank you guys. As always, for coming out, for supporting, for watching the show, for being here, for being part of it. It is just the best. So, thank you guys. I love this show, more than anything. So, as you peek behind the curtain for me, I have just the most severe ADHD, and it is super hard at times to focus, to get things done. I procrastinate, not necessarily because I want to, but because I have crippling ADHD. My brain just doesn't let me do certain things. But when it comes to this show, I am so dialed in. I'm so hyper focused. I'll be honest, for the first couple months, for the first year or so. So for people that know ADHD, you get these things called hyperfixations, where you just obsess over details on the most random things. You're like, I want to learn how to fucking weave a basket. And you're like, you will spend hours and hours and you'll become obsessed and you will become the best basket weaver this side of the Mississippi. And then it'll pass. And then you'll never think about it ever again. And so for the first couple months or year of this show, I really thought that's what this was going to be. I thought that, like, because I was really hyper fixating on like the graphics and the design and the choices and the background and all these things. And I really thought that, like, oh, this is going to be sad when it passes, right? When this phase passes, it's going to be kind of a bummer. And happy to report, here we are, like, 5-6 years later, and I'm still just as fixated on this as ever. And it's great because it's actually a really good channel for my ADHD, because, like, the background, one week I'll be hyper fixated on that, and then another week I'll be hyper fixated on getting guests, and another week I'll be hyper fixated on the graphics, and it always stems back to the show. So this has been you guys, and the show has been a really great like a focal point for my ADHD and whatnot. But that's just me sharing way too much. So what else? What do we get? So next week, just putting it out there, next week, no show. Next week would be September 10th. And I will be at a benefit event in honor of September 11th. So I won't be, I mean, I might post something. Maybe I'll go, I don't know if I go live from the event. I don't know if that would work. I don't know how my signal will be, but I will definitely at least try to post or do something from there. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure wherever you're watching from, like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, all the things. It helps us reach more people, more viewers, and it really just helps us grow this community that we're building, and I'm so happy with and so proud of. And I love each and every one of you guys for being a part of it, because without you guys, this is nothing. So last bit of business, everybody knows all the things that we have to share here at WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments. Sundays, we have the sports bar with King and Coach. So you get all your sports news. Football is around the corner. It is kickoff. We're not tomorrow, the next day. So we're like 48 hours removed from football being back. As much as I am a nerd, I am also a lover of the foosball. So I'm very much excited for this football season, even though my team's absolutely trash. But you know what? Being a fan means you love them no matter what. Monday edition with Ice and Massey. That's your news, commentary, and discussion of all the things that are happening around the world. Tuesdays right here with me and mostly Mad Mike, sometimes Angry Elf, or others, or special guests, and all of our celebrity friends. Tuesdays right here on Pop Culture Warrior. Wednesdays, The Smoke Pit with Radar and TZ. I believe he's off this week and next week, but then we'll be returning with a fierce passion of 1,000 dying stars. So he'll be back. I don't think next week. I think the following week. Thursdays, The Sergeant's Time with Ice and Spanky. That gives you all your military news. For all those people that are like, this is stupid. This has nothing to do with the military. Yeah, because it's Pop Culture Warrior. I'm the affiliation of the military. Other than that, it's just pop culture nonsense. Thursdays, that's where you go to get your military gossip and news and up-to-date moments of what's happening in and around the military. Every other Friday, we have FTX right here. Well, technically, right over there, actually. FTX is when a bunch of us guys get together and play board games, card games, dice games. Lots of fun had. Last Friday we played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice, the board game. I'm thinking, so not this Friday, but the next Friday will be FTX. I'm thinking we'll do something a little more competitive. We've been doing a lot of co-op stuff lately, a lot of cooperative games. I think it's time to break out the competitive juices and get some people start being angry at each other. Break out some fist fights. That'd be fun. And then Saturdays, rounding out the week, we have weekend co-ops. That's with our guy Nemo. He is playing online games, things like WoW and all these other games that are cooperative, and talking about all the things, man. Talking about programs, talking about benefits, talking about mental health, and just playing some fun games and co-oping. And I've dropped in on a few. I've co-opted with him a few times, and probably will do so in the future as well. So keep an eye out for that. And that's all the things we have happening around here in WTF Nation, in U.S. Army WTF Moments. I want to thank you guys again for coming in and watching. Thanks, Mad Mike, for co-hosting as always. Thanks to our guest, Kelly Schumann, who came on. Like I said, no show. Actually, I won't say no show. I'll say I won't be here next Tuesday. Pop CQ won't have a show next Tuesday. That's what I'm going to say. Maybe we can work something out. It wouldn't be the first time that someone has done a Pop Culture Warrior stand-in. So maybe I have time to put something together. We'll see. We'll see. If the people want it, if the people want Pop Culture Warrior, even if CQ's not available, we will make Pop Culture Warrior happen. So you let us know if you want to see a Pop Culture Warrior next week with or without CQ. Well, definitely without CQ because CQ's going to be busy. But all right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for chilling with us. And yeah, man, we'll see you guys next week. Or, damn it. We won't see you next week. I won't see you next week. Somebody might. I won't. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Shots.
Doc! Oh, no! We're too late! We missed it! Oh, jeez, this is heavy. Ah, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Doc, I got a time machine. I'm just gonna punch in the coordinates. Pop Culture Warrior Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WTF Nation Radio. Now crank this bad boy up to 88 miles per hour.
Let's see it.